So imagine this, it is game day and you're walking onto the pitch and across from you is a team that is faster, stronger and more skilled. And the player that you're up against today is a player with a reputation that intimidates everyone. That you feel that pressure rising. The voice inside your head whispers, this is going to be a tough game. But here's the truth. This is where greatness happens. When you step up against a better opponent and when you're out of your comfort zone, this is when you have the chance to grow into the player that you are truly capable of becoming. Now, it is natural to feel discomfort when you're up against a tougher team or a player that seems unstoppable. Now, we've all been there, feeling outmatched, like the odds are stacked against us. But the truth is, these are the moments that define you. And if you embrace this the right way, you're going to go much further than just preparing yourself for today's game. You are going to be conditioning that brain of yours for brilliance. And we're going to come on to this in just a moment. But in this moment, in this scenario that we're talking about, you can either choose to shy away or you can choose to embrace the challenge. And guess what? That discomfort is not the enemy. It is an opportunity that I'm going to convince you in this video that you absolutely need to take. So let's talk about how facing better opponents is going to be your key to unlocking your growth, helping you to develop more rapidly and more effectively. Now, we're going to dive into stepping outside of your comfort zone and how this is critical for your brain and your development. But also, there's a part of your brain that is trying to stand in your way. And this part is the part that I'm sure you'd understand is the part that is responsible for fear. It's called the amygdala. Now, we're going to look into how this part of your brain reacts to these moments. Now, most importantly, I'm going to show you how to rewire your brain to see challenges as opportunities and not threats, and how pushing through them will build natural and automatic resilience and greatness within you. So why does discomfort lead to growth? Now, let's start with a simple truth. No one becomes great by avoiding tough challenges. The very best footballers have one thing in common. They want to test themselves every game. They want to play at the very highest level that they can play and against the very best opponents that they can. Now, when you face a better opponent, your brain is forced to adapt. And this process is called neuroplasticity. It is the brain's ability to rewire itself in response to new challenges. Every time that you step up against a tougher team, you're pushing your brain and your body beyond their usual limits. And it is here that you learn faster and you make decisions quicker. You sharpen your skills. Over time, your brain builds stronger neural connections, helping you to become a better and a more resilient footballer. So let's look at this part of your brain called the amygdala. This is going to be the part of your brain that reacts when you're up against it and you're out of your comfort zone. Now, when you face a stronger team or a stronger player, your brain reacts instinctively. This amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fear and anxiety, it kicks in. And this is a natural and automatic response. Your amygdala is trying to actually protect you by keeping you safe from danger. Because when you're up against an intimidating opponent, the amygdala will signal fear, making you want to retreat and get into your comfort zone. But here's the thing. If you let your amygdala control your actions, two things happen. Now, firstly, in this moment, at this precise time, you'll hold yourself back. You'll shy away from the challenge. You will not perform in the way that you could. But this is only what happens today in this game. What is worse is the long-term impact. Because when you shy away from the challenge, you are giving the amygdala control, or giving red brain control, as I call it. What you're doing is you're further conditioning this response within your brain. Now, over time, it will continue to rip away at your confidence and your self-belief on the pitch. It will make you shy away from other challenges as well. It will make you red brain dominant. However, when you lean into the challenge, when you face your fear, your brain starts to adapt. Over time, you become more comfortable in high pressure situations. you stop seeing tough opponents as threats and you start seeing them as opportunities to improve, rewiring your brain like the very best players. Now, one of the most powerful ways that you can grow as a footballer is by deliberately facing strong competition. And whether this is during training or in a game, if you intentionally put yourself in situations which are difficult, this is going to force your brain to improve. But it isn't just about tough opponents, but also look at the kinds of drills that you're doing also. For example, if you're shooting, we don't want you with all the time in the world where you can take a couple of touches and then strike the ball when it's most comfortable. No, what we want is imagining that you have some of the best defenders in the world around you. They're pushing and pressurizing you. When you need to strike the ball, you are under great pressure. Now, engineering these types of scenarios with your coaches will help you to get comfortable being uncomfortable, rewiring your brain, rewiring what I call green brain control rather than red brain control. And the more you expose yourself to these situations, the more capable your brain becomes in handling pressure. You learn to remain calm, make smarter decisions. You take control of that fear response that is triggered by the amygdala, the red brain. In short, putting yourself under pressure, whether that's against tough opponents or creating tougher drills, this makes you mentally stronger and more mentally resilient at the same time. It allows you to perform at higher levels within your game. Now think about the times in your life when you face challenges on or off the pitch. Now maybe it wasn't football related at all. Maybe it's a time where you had to step up in a personal situation. Maybe it was moving to a new school or dealing with a problem, adapting to an unfamiliar environment. Now you were forced to make decisions. Even when everything felt overwhelming or uncertain, you had to make a decision here. And it's in these moments, on or off the pitch, that we have an opportunity to either fuel the red brain and make us shrink even more as a player and as a person, or we start to realize what is happening now in our brain, and we decide that we don't want to affect and impact negatively our long-term future. So we decide that actually we're going to step up, see it as a challenge, and then fully embrace this challenge, knowing that it will indeed be uncomfortable. But that discomfort is conditioning us. Yes, it will help you there and then, in that moment, meeting the demands that are required there and performing better in whatever you're doing. But now you also know that it's conditioning you, growing and strengthening that green brain, otherwise known as the prefrontal cortex. So it is this part of the brain, the most advanced part of your brain, that then takes control and is more in control automatically and instinctively. Over time, you will not only become a better footballer, but you'll also be a more effective human being. Now, it's not easy to do, but there is your motivation, your reason for making it happen, to feel that discomfort and to embrace it rather than shrinking behind it and letting it control you. Now imagine, let's go back to the football pitch. Imagine applying this same mentality to your football. Imagine you're up against a team or a player with a reputation for dominating. Now you can feel that pressure building, but instead of retreating, think about how you faced challenges before and you've come out stronger. This isn't just another game. It is another opportunity to grow. Just like the times in your life where you've had no choice but to rise to the occasion. Growth doesn't happen when everything is comfortable. It happens when you're out of your depth, when the odds are not in your favor. Football, just like life, demands that you show up when it's hardest. And the beautiful thing is that when you do, your brain takes note. It adapts. It builds resilience. And you start to realize that those challenges are not roadblocks. They are stepping stones. So here is an effective way to approach this. Training your brain to embrace challenges begins with taking small and deliberate steps. You do not need to take on the toughest player or the toughest challenges right now, but you do need to start stepping into more difficult situations. Now in training, seek out practice sessions with stronger teammates or opponents. Deliberately play against faster and more skilled players So it sharpens your reaction times and your decision makings. And also deliberately look to do drills that are hard when the ball doesn't end up in the back of the net 95% of the time. And then in matches, when you're up against a stronger team, instead of allowing yourself to feel intimidated, focus on controlling what you can. Look to your strengths and what you can offer rather than being put off your game with the strengths that you see in your opponent. And then off the pitch, work on your mental game. Visualize yourself succeeding against tougher competition, training your brain to feel uncomfortable in challenging situations by visualizing yourself, immersing yourself in these difficult situations, mentally rehearsing, meeting them head on and overcoming them. Now, every time you step into a challenging situation, whether in training or in a match or in your life in general, by embracing it, you are teaching your brain to handle discomfort. You are growing, and that is how you become a player who thrives under pressure. So start this today, and if you're serious about becoming the best player you can be, subscribe to this channel and also be a great teammate and share this video in your WhatsApp groups.